my name is Sang Lee. Today I would like to give you my final project presentation on ethical dilemma, Samsung, and bribery. Before we go into ethical dilemma, I would like to give you a brief overview of what happened. Park Geun-hye, a former impeached president of South Korea, has illegally designated her presidential authorities to one of her close friends named Choi Soon-sil. Choi Soon-sil, despite not having the legal authorities to make important decisions for a country, still illegally made important decisions for South Korea because she happened to be the president's close friend, and the president was okay with her making decisions for her. This has specific ties to Samsung's corporate bribery scandal because vice chairman of Samsung, Lee Jae-yong, has been reportedly uh, paying bribery to President Park Geun-hye and her friend Choi Soon-sil that held a lot of political power. I will give you a short introduction to some of the people that were involved in this scandal. President Park Geun-hye was the 18th president of South Korea. She was the first female president, and she was the first president to be legally impeached by the South Korean government. And she was impeached specifically because she designated her power to presidential authorities to Choi Soon-sil when she didn't have the legal authorities to do so, and Choi Soon-sil was the political figurehead that received millions of dollars of bribery from Samsung. She was impeached in March 10th, 2017. This is Choi Soon-sil. She was a very close friend of uh, impeached President Park Geun-hye. She has been making decisions for the country of South Korea when she wasn't allowed to do so. She abused the fact that uh, her close friend President Park Geun-hye gave her political authorities, and she used it to receive bribery from many big conglomerates and companies in South Korea, and this includes Samsung's bribery scandal to President Park Geun-hye and her friend Choi Soon-sil. This is Choi Soon-sil's daughter, Chung Yura, and she has received $3.2 million in bribery from Samsung to facilitate her equestrian training. And finally, this is Lee Jae-yong. He is the vice chairman of Samsung. He has made quote-unquote donations of $36 million to Choi Soon-sil's organizations, and also paid $3.2 million to her daughter Chung Yura for equestrian training. And he specifically was involved in this bribery scandal because he wanted the support of President Park Geun-hye so he would have stronger control of Samsung Electronics. This is an important topic to discuss in business ethics class because Samsung is one of the biggest smartphone slash semiconductor companies in the world, and their company CEO has been using Samsung's company money to bribe a political figure for his own personal interests. And with this bribery scandal, Samsung as a company has made responses while prosecution was involved in investigating whether or not Samsung's vice chairman was bribing the president of South Korea and her friend. Lee Jae-yong and his team of lawyers admitted that they have made donations, $36 million of donations to Choi Soon-sil's organizations. However, they denied the fact that they weren't really expecting anything in return, and also Samsung executives have called in shareholders of the company, and they have apologized to the shareholders that they have mismanaged the company. However, they haven't really admitted that they were bribing political figures. They have only said that they have been making donations. So Lee Jae-yong and Samsung Company as a whole has never admitted to the fact that they have bribed uh, former impeached President Park Geun-hye and her friend Choi Soon-sil. And because of this, the shareholders have uncertainties on who's going to be able to properly lead Samsung as a company, and as a result, they have lost 1% of their shares have dropped. However, on a long-term scale, Samsung's operation had minimum um, damage as they still managed to make record-breaking profits in the last couple of years. And the Judicial Court of South Korea has ruled that Vice Chairman of Samsung was guilty and he was sentenced to 5 years in jail in the year 2017. However, in the year 2018, the court suspended Lee Jae-yong's jail term, allowing him to be free. And my theory to this event is that Samsung is as a company, is a big part of South Korea's economy, and this is another issue that's going on in South Korea because a lot of executives from companies like Samsung have been getting away with doing illegal activities because the country is so heavily reliant. The country's economy is so heavily reliant on their company. The ethical issue that I would like to specifically touch on today is was it ethical for Lee to bribe political figures? Because using a company's set of financial assets to bribe the president or any political figures in power so that he can have greater control of the company seems very unethical to me. And should Samsung admit that they have bribed the president and her friend, because while they were facing accusations, um, Lee Jae-yong and his lawyers never admitted that they were bribing political officials. They have only said that they were making donations, which I think this is a pretty dishonest act by Samsung, because if Samsung was to be ethical in this situation, they should have admitted that they were bribing political figures. Now, I would like to talk about, before we continue on Samsung's bribery scandal, I would like to talk about Immanuel Kant's theory of ethics. Kant's theory of ethics rely on motivation of the action rather than the outcome of the action. For me to give you an example, let's say a CEO of a company ABC were to be involved in um, charity donations to improve public relations of the company. According to Immanuel Kant's theory of ethics, this isn't really particularly ethical because the leader of a company is doing this to improve their public image to the consumers and the public rather than actually having an interest to help out the poor people that are in need of charity donations. And to apply Immanuel Kant's theory of ethics to Samsung's bribery scandal, I think that given that this ethical theory is applied, what Samsung has been doing could be considered unethical. This is because Samsung executives have made quote unquote donations to a powerful political figure uh, so that they can have greater control of Samsung as a company. And while Samsung has made quote unquote donations, they weren't really making $36 million worth of donations to these organizations because they wanted to develop Chesnish's organization, or they had a specific interest in Chesnish's daughter's equestrian career. It was Lee Jae-young's attempt to be on the good side of President Park Geun-hye so that he could gain political support to gain um, greater control of Samsung's conglomerate mergers and acquisition. Um, and this is unethical, like I said, because this is also on Samsung's explanations to bribery accusations to their shareholders is also unethical because their motivations were to protect their company's image um, from the bribery scandal. So instead of being honest about what happened and telling the shareholders that their vice chairman has been bribing the president and her friend, they were simply stating that they were making donations without expecting anything in return. If Samsung was to be an ethical company, they should have admitted um, to what happened, tell them what was the truth, and instead of doing that, they just simply denied the accusation of bribery, saying that they were simply making donations. Um, and for me, when I look at this incident, I think did, what Samsung did to respond to the public was unethical, as well as Lee Jae-young's bribery to the government officials were can be also considered unethical because like a company's leader should not be like using company assets to fund to give money to political officials to do to serve his own interest. Is It's unethical for a person to use money to achieve something that shouldn't be done through uh, shouldn't be done through giving money. Like if EJO wanted to fairly earn his position to be de facto head of Samsung's conglomerate, he should have proven his leadership by displaying good management skills of the company. Instead of doing that, he was trying to cheat his way by bribing somebody that had a lot of power. And Samsung again has been very dishonest to their shareholders, um, never admitting the fact that what they were doing is illegal and unethical. So, in conclusion, I personally think that what Samsung has been doing um, is are can be considered very unethical. These are my sources. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a great day.